Welcome to Neon Cobra's 5-minute flash community interview. Today, I am joined by Nett Lynch, the CISO from Kraft and Kennedy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So we had a little bit of time to talk before this. For anyone that's watched this series before, we do a 5-minute flash interview. We ask a series of questions. Some learnings from 2024 is I wasn't asking enough questions. So we've kind of upped the ante this time, and she's my guinea pig. So I'll be asking a couple of more this time around. And with that, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Fantastic. So elevator pitch you as a person and your passion.
So I think this one is really interesting because it's hard to pare the essence of somebody down into just a couple of minutes. But for me, empathy and compassion are at the core of who I am as a person, which means it's also who I am as a colleague or partner or whatever. And things that I'm passionate about are giving back. That's probably at the top of my list, both professionally and personally. I've been a volunteer in my personal life for more than 2 decades. So I
Excellent.
definitely, for me, I've been blessed a lot throughout my life,
Mm-hmm.
partially because it's being in the right place at the right time and making yourself ready for those opportunities, but so much of it is luck as well.
Yeah.
So I like to give back in a variety of different ways.
Amazing. One thing you love.
Oh gosh, there are so many, so many. I
I
love
knew this was going
food.
to be the hard one.
That's
Oh,
probably
amazing.
top of my list. I collect hobbies, and I have for a
You
very
too.
long time. I pick a hobby, and I get to like an intermediate stage, and then I move on to something else that catches my interest. Get to intermediate stage and keep
Yep.
going. Food. I love to make food. I make a lot of Thai food. I make a lot of Indian food at home. Also, I'm plant based, so all my dishes I like to take traditional dishes and make
Awesome.
them plant based, which is fun. And I love languages. I've studied, gosh, a dozen different languages, and now I'm doing Italian right now.
Fantastic. I will say that'll probably qualify as your one interesting fact as well. So we can skip over that. What got you into the field?
So I'll give my age away a little bit by saying this, but in the late 90s, I was a bit of a gamer and I was also just nerdy. I built computers and things,
Mhm.
and Gateway Computers was opening a store close to where I was living, and I got wind of it. I interviewed, and I eventually became a technician there. And it like troubleshooting was just so natural for me because it's
Mhm.
cause and effect. If something is not happening, something is causing it to not happen, or the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about problem solving. And I still do a lot of puzzles and things like that in my spare time, just because that's the way I'm wired, is to figure things out, look for patterns, etc. So that's what got me into the field. But what brought me into security is when I was a strategic advisor, a VCIO,
Mhm.
in around 2015-16. That's when ransomware started happening.
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, companies don't know until they get hit that they could have prevented this. So that's when I
Yep.
started, getting into cybersecurity and then building my way up to become a CISO.
There's a time to do it. It was probably then. Yeah. All right. One thing you wish you knew 3 years ago.
One thing I wish I knew 3 years ago is that I was on the right path. And I think a lot of people go through this at different stages in
Mhm.
their careers where they're like, should I do this? Should I do that? What direction should I go? And like getting into the position I am now, I'm so grateful I stayed the course and didn't make a change to a different part, because, I think sometimes when we get roadblocks, it's easy to say, I give up, I'm going to do something else.
Right.
But
Yeah.
push through, right? I think that's it.
Amazing. All right. Now we're into uncharted territory. What changes do you wish to see in the industry?
Oh gosh, I would love to see more MSPs taking security more seriously. I don't mean compliance, I mean security.
Mhm.
Getting their own houses in order and doing the same for the clients, because there's so many organizations getting hit who have MSPs, but they have gaps.
Yeah.
And for it's a variety of reasons that's happening, but that's what I really want to see happen is for that to tighten up. And this may be a little bit spicy, but I'd like to see MSPs not listening to vendors so much because they get so focused on, here's my great product, go sell it.
Yep.
versus looking at the client environment and what's best from that client perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always about selling widgets. It's usually about aligning to business outcomes.
Fantastic. And just under the wire, what's one book you'd recommend to anyone? Doesn't have to be industry related.
Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Oh, I think I got that here somewhere. Excellent. Fantastic. So even though we changed the rules of the game, you are the closest to get to 5 minutes so far. So I think I've found the nice balance. Thank you so much for joining. Join us in the post-interview section where we'll dive into some more of these answers. Catch you in a second.